right, welcome to the Beam, where curiosity stirs conversation, taking us a step further into the future we desire. I'm Sunas Nathaniel, and as always, we bring you the issues that matter, the voices that challenge, and the insights that inspire. Today, we're going to be discussing a story that has sparked national debate, the NYSC Saga, involving Rita Ogwamaye Ushe. It's a conversation about economic hardship, youth struggles, cancel culture, and the power of social media protest. Before we go deeper into the subject of the day, let's bring you our spotlights, and then when we return, we'll introduce our esteemed guest and get straight into this discussion. Don't go away. It promises to be highly engaging. As part of efforts to expand the nation's digital economy, the National Information Technology Development Agency hosted the iHatch for Hubs training program with emphasis on the role of innovation in shaping the country's future. The program aims to provide the structure, mentorship, and resources necessary for innovation hubs to thrive.
We want them to use technology to solve local problems in their own states. We train people from the state. They can use technology. For example, in your state, if you have agriculture, how can you train the smallholder farmers on using technology to monitor the weather, to know when to seed, to know when to put fertilizer, and so on.
Priority areas that the president is giving based on his mandate to leverage innovation to accelerate and to catalyze. Some of those areas are agriculture, trade, healthcare, education. So we see through this cohort a lot of solutions coming out in this area, in agri-tech, in ed-tech, in fintech, health tech, and even to facilitate commerce and trade largely across the country.
The program provides insights on how to move from concept to execution while ensuring long-term sustainability.
We designed the program in a way that gave a robust curriculum filled with virtual sessions and capacity build expert-led sessions. We brought veterans in the ecosystem who have done this hub support and built hubs and run hubs across the country.
This opportunity, working with 36 hub managers from 36 states plus the FCT, making it 37, has been a really exciting experience, and exciting for us because it gives us the opportunity to bring all of the experiences and insights that we've had over the years building City Hub to supporting them and building their capacity to be able to build a thriving innovation ecosystem in their states as well.
From policymakers to entrepreneurs, the consensus is clear. Nigeria's digital future depends on its ability to innovate locally. Welcome back. Today we are dissecting the NYSC Saga. That's the National Youth Service Corps Saga, involving social economic issues, the moral question that it raises. And joining me for this discussion is someone who needs no introduction. He's the human rights community leader and somebody who's a lawyer and activist and the secretary of the Citizens Liberties Committee of the Nigerian Bar Association. He is Mr. Effiong Inibehe. I hope I got that right. That's Barrister Inibehe Effiong. Mr. Effiong, you're welcome to the program.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
All right. You've been at the fore when it comes to several, certain issues when it comes to rights and all that. And the first question for me would be, let's look at the economic realities. Let's go there. And says there are many youth corps members who are saying, hey, we are not being paid well. Whatever is being paid is not working for us. Where does this leave us right now when it comes to the Youth Corps program as it stands today? Where does it leave us, basically? The challenges faced by Nigerians in general. Let's begin from there.
Thank you for having me. Let me start or preface my comments by saying that when the National Youth Service Corps was established in 1973 by the Yakubu Gowon regime, the intention, in some sense, was noble, given that we had just come out of the Civil War that spanned over a period of about 3 years, with thousands of people slaughtered. Nigeria was deeply polarized along ethnic and religious divide. So the Gowon regime bettered the NYSC with the intention of unifying the country. And it is important I start on that basis. so that we don't lose focus of what the NYSC is meant for. It was meant to unify the country. That is why when you are posted as a corps member, you are posted outside your area of comfort, usually outside your state of origin or outside the state where you attended a tertiary institution. It is intended to give you exposure to other parts of the country. And that is why, for me, for example, I finished from University of Uyo, I was posted to Ondo State. The intention was for me to understand the culture of the Yoruba people and a place other than my area, you know, where I grew up. That is what the NYSC was designed for. Now, about 52 years after this scheme or the NYSC was established, if you put a vote today and ask Nigerian graduates, Nigerian students, and even persons who have passed through the NYSC, I will not be surprised if majority tell you that it is a colossal failure. The purpose for which the NYSC was established has not been attained. Nigeria is now more polarized than it has ever been. Polarization along ethnic lines has even become the bane of a political experiment. So can you really say that in terms of the objective that the NYSC has succeeded? I do not think so. Now, in terms of contributing to human capital development, right? You have states, for example, where there are no teachers in public schools, and these corps members are sent and posted to those schools to basically supplement the capacity of the teaching force in those schools. To that extent, the NYSC still serves some good. But to the extent that the welfare of corps members, those who have gone through this service, have been neglected, 52 years after, corps members are being arrested, like corps members who were taken from Akwa Ibom while going to somewhere in the north to serve. It took about a year before they could be rescued. Corps members are being killed in the course of service. No compensation to their families. So the scheme has basically derailed because the leadership of the country and the leadership of the NYSC has completely failed to attend to the demands of the corps members, from the issue of accommodation to issue of the general welfare, their transport, how they get to where their place of primary assignment, to even the security and safety of corps members. Remember in 2011, where Nigerian corps members were slaughtered in some states in the north. Till date, nobody has spoken to justice for those corps members. So this is a scheme that has failed, and I hope the government will have the sincerity and the honesty to admit it and begin to see whether this scheme can be salvaged. Because the way it is looking now, it is beginning to look that they are turning the whole scheme into a complete joke, with the way they are now going after, you know, persons who are voicing their concerns about the issues militating against the NYSC.
All right, it's fine that you have taken us there because we have to go there. That's why we are here, voicing concerns. The present government can say that they have indeed increased the price for which, you know, what the corps members are paid every month, that it was increased. And it's way bigger than what the minimum wage would have been as at the time. And then they are saying, what more? There are things that are thinking to do, but what more could we have done? And then you have somebody who has voiced her opinions as regards what's going on in the general scale. But she is serving now as a corps member, and there are legal and ethical aspects to this case. So the question then becomes, what part of the laws did she flout as a member of the National Youth Corps Service? What part has she flouted? And what part have the government, on the other hand, flouted? What really is going on here, and who really is at fault in this case as we speak? Knowing that you are a defendant of the person in question. So we must speak to the issues, basically.
Well, let me speak to the issues. And the issues are not complicated, right? And part of the conversation that I have seen in a section of the social media is this insinuation that Rita Osher or Raye is an employee of the federal government. She's working for the government. Being an employee of the government, why will she criticize the government that she's working for? That is legally unfounded. Corps members are not civil servants. This patriotic citizen of Nigeria, Rita, who voiced a justifiable concerns about the impact that inflation has had on her, she is not in the employment of the Nigerian government. Even me that is talking to you.
I want to ask you, if she,
yes.
Sorry, but she gets paid by the National Youth Service Corps. Are you saying in that same scheme that she's not still, you know, working for the government?
No, let me be clear to you, because I want to be heard clearly, and I challenge anyone to a debate on this. Nigerian corps members are not civil servants. They are not employees of the government. In fact, I have the NYSC Act here, the National Youth Service Corps Act. I challenge anyone to refer me to any provision of this act, this law, that establishes the NYSC, that suggests that corps members are civil servants. The closest that you will find under this act is where reference to employer is used in the NYSC Act. What the act refers to is PPA, that is place of primary assignment. Assuming without conceding, yes, because the corps members under the act can be posted either to a private sector or public sector. But assuming without conceding that corps members serving in government agencies or government institutions are deemed in some sense to be working for the government, that will still not apply to this particular corps member. She works in the private sector. She's not working in any government parastatal. So you can't even say, how can you say someone is an employee of a government and is not paid salary? I hope you are aware. You cannot say...
But the government can say, can you hear me? The government can say that they facilitated her move to the private place where she's working at the moment.
No. Again, that is just like a recruitment agency. For the purpose of posting corps members to PPA, the NYSC basically acts as a vehicle, as an agency, for the purpose of enabling corps members to go to PPA where they are serving. I want to be heard very clearly that under the act, under the law, if you look at section 2 of the NYSC Act, all that the law requires is for corps members to be called up. That is the language of the law. To be called up if you are eligible, that is within the age bracket that is permissible. You are called up to serve. And the law makes it compulsory that once you are still within the age bracket, you offer yourself for compulsory service. It is called national service, not service to the federal government. Because corps members are not just serving in government, that is those that are even serving in government agencies. They serve in state agencies, they serve in federal, local government, they serve in the private sector. They even serve in all manner of places. So you cannot say that a corps member is, how can you say someone is working for the federal government? Federal government is not paying you salary, federal government is not paying you pension, federal government is not giving you accommodation allowance. What does the Nigerian government do for corps members? Is it the 33,000 we are talking about? It is just someone saying, I want to serve Nigeria.
It's been increased right now, yes?
It is audio increment.
And that is also payment. So what do you call that payment made to the corps members?
It has not been increased.
What do you call the payment made to the corps members?
The allowances of corps members have not been increased.
So what do you call the payment? What do you call the payments made to the corps members?
It is an allowance for inconvenience. That is simply what it is. You can't call it any other thing. Allowance for inconvenience. And it is not even sufficient. It is not sufficient. Because if you look at even the law, the benefit that corps members are supposed to get, the government doesn't even keep to it. Basic accommodation, for example, under Section 18 of the Act, a corps member is supposed to give in accommodation, right? A corps member is supposed to be given welfare facilities, transport, and other facilities to enable them to go to work. Does the Nigerian government give that? The answer is no. And let me also mention to you, upon conclusion of your national service...
a general statement. What about, are there not people who are getting these allowances, if not all? Are there not people who are getting
possibly those who are lucky to work in the private organization, private sector. I served in the Ondo State Ministry of Justice about 10 years ago. For the entire 1 year of my service, the Ondo State government did not give me one kobo, either as transport allowance or for anything, for the 1 year I served in Ondo State. So will you now come and tell me tomorrow that, oh, while I was serving, Inibehe Effiong did not have the right to criticize the policy of the government because of a paltry 19,800 allowance that could not cater for anything? Corps members are not civil servants. And I'm saying that even under the law, when you complete your national service, what the Act says, Section 11, is certificate of service. Certificate of service, national service, not certificate of employment. No corps member is issued letter of employment in Nigeria. Serving in the scheme is not even pensionable, right? The head of civil service of the Federation has no business to play with the role of corps members.
I'm still here with Barrister Inibehe Effiong, and we're discussing the NYSC saga, the economic hardship, and the struggles that leads sometimes to social media protests and cancel culture. Barrister, if you can hear me, one of the first questions people have asked is almost like she was rousing mob justice on social media when she made those statements. And then if you go by the bylaws of the NYSC, towards the third segment, there is a place that suggests that she's supposed to have a 30-day extra elongation of her process if she goes on to do what she has done on social media. What's your take on this?
Well, I don't know whether you have the bylaw with you, because I have a copy of
I do have the bylaw. I printed the bylaw completely.
Oh, correct. So this will be an informed conversation. I have the National Youth Service Corps bylaw revised 2011 with me. I would like you to refer me to the part that she may have possibly breached. Look, I have read this bylaw over and over again. I cannot find any provision that anyone can say she's slightly violated. And if you show me any provision that she violated...
What about the place where it says... What about the place that says any member who violates the progressive channels of communications as laid down and airs their grievance in news media shall be liable, for a penalty? What about that spot?
Well, if you can refer me to the clause you are referring to, but because what you are reading, can you mention the clause you are referring to? Part of the confusion is that people are sharing the old version. This is the revised bylaw 2011. And this revised bylaw, what you have read is not what it is. The provision that relates to channel of communication is channel of communication relating to policies of the Corps, policies of the NYSC, right? If you have grievances within the scheme, this Corps member, Rita, has not said anything relating to policies of the NYSC. In fact, when you read through the provision carefully, it is even relating to issues while in orientation camp. It is in relation to the orientation camp. Okay? So when you say channel of communication, about what? What is the business of the NYSC with the cost of egg in the market? Does NYSC regulate that? You cannot say that because you are serving in the NYSC, you no longer have an opinion about what is affecting you as a Nigerian. She has not gone into issues relating to policies of the NYSC. And she has not addressed the media. She has not spoken, has she spoken to the media? If she granted a press interview or spoke to the press, I would like to know if Channels TV was there. Because I have checked all the video shots in question. There is none where she spoke to the media. Okay? It is like saying...
You don't calculate, you don't think that social media is media in that sense?
2 points. Number one, the language of the... And I said, look at the bylaw. The language of the bylaw is addressing the press on policies while in the orientation camp. Okay, she's no longer in orientation camp. That is one. Number two, the policies must be policies of the NYSC. Once the comments made by a Corps member is outside the purview of the scheme, NYSC has no jurisdiction. So you cannot say that as a Nigerian, because I've offered to save Nigeria for 1 year, I have no right to complain about the price of fuel. That would be absurd. I have no right to say that the cost of transportation is too high. The NYSC kit, the uniform, right, is not a chain of enslavement. It is not meant to seal somebody's mouth. That is not what the NYSC is meant for. And part of this confusion is because this was something that was introduced by the military. So many Nigerians, quite sadly, are suffering from a post-military complex. They are unable to divorce themselves from this military mentality. This is supposed to be a democracy. There is nothing in the bylaw that she has violated. It doesn't even apply. NYSC has no business talking to this lady on this matter. And we are waiting for them to even come out and say, because at this moment, they've not clearly told us the section of the bylaw that she has violated. I have studied the bylaw carefully. I haven't seen anything that she has done wrong. The third channel of communication in relation to what? So
you think that she does not owe the NYSC nor the government an apology?
No, what has to happen? It is the NYSC that is owing her an apology. And it is the Nigerian government that is owing her a listening ear. The woman who called to threaten her, we will have to look at that, the legality of that, and the possible legal consequence for that. We cannot accept for Nigeria to be a banana republic, right? Because even under the act, what is the worst that they can do? What is the worst that they can do? Assuming that a Corps member even violates the bylaw, maybe 1 month extension, but in this case, she has not even violated anything, and you are calling to threaten her. The woman is not the spokesperson of President Tinubu. If somebody says Tinubu is a terrible president, is that not a statement of fact for which millions of Nigerians are in agreement? And they say, why did you say Lagos is smelling? Lagos is stinks and whatever. Why do we have Loma in Lagos? When you make such a statement,
Barrister, when you make such a statement about the president, do you have evidence to substantiate all that you have said? Or can you make that claim in both statements with your right claims? can you make it with your eye claims? Or do we just say it because we just have to say it?
No, saying that Tinubu is a terrible president is self-evident. Right? It's self-evident.
So self-evidence, do you use self-evidence in the courts?
I mean this.
do you use self-evidence in the courts?
The evidence is before you. The evidence is before you. If the president is not terrible, Nigerians will be able to afford.
Is the evidence
I want to give you the evidence.
Is the evidence before me admissible in court?
Of course it is admissible, because the judge who will preside over the case could not have possibly trekked to the court. He would have had to enter a vehicle, and he knows how much he's buying fuel. That judge, possibly in his house, maybe he's depending on diesel or fuel, and he knows how much he's paying for it. Every Nigerian can attest.
So you are saying that the judge will use that as his yardstick then?
I'm telling you that
in court.
The question of whether this president is terrible or not is one that there shouldn't be a debate. And anyone that is seeking to debate it is just engaging in intellectual duplicity with profound respect. Because I can sit here and chronicle facts that is conclusive about. In fact, she was very kind in her language. If I was the one, I could have used more Arabic language. How can you say? And this is the president, by the way, who was promising us heaven and earth. Today, Nigerians cannot feed. Look at the cost of data that has been increased. You can't even have access to internet. The cost, the electricity tariff has been increased. Our naira, our exchange rate is nothing to write home about. Healthcare, nothing to write home about. The war on corruption, the president has not fought it. Austerity, Nigeria is going through a very difficult phase, but you are spending billions, and they keep saying, oh, be patriotic, love Nigeria. Core members should love Nigeria. But the president is so patriotic that he needed a new aircraft to be able to fly around. They are so patriotic, he had to spend billions to build a new lodge for the vice president. Who is paying for the lodge that core members are staying? Who is paying for the transport fare that core members are using to go to work? Why is it that when we speak about patriotism, the man is only made of the Nigerian people and never of our leaders? This core member must be given a national honor because she has provoked, and let me advise, and I said it with lots of responsibility. Those who are trying to threaten us should be careful.
In 30 seconds, because we are closing.
I'm advising the NYSC and the Nigerian government to be careful. Because if you push this case, other core members will now say, no, this is not just about her. And nobody can preempt how that will end. We have to listen. We have to listen to what the nation is saying. The nation is speaking. It is whether Tinubu will listen or not. And whether Tinubu is a terrible president or not, of course I agree that he's a terrible president. If you doubt me, go to the villa and conduct a census. Majority of the workers there will tell you that Tinubu is a terrible president. Tinubu himself knows that he has fell on his promises.
All right. Thank you very much.
You cannot punish someone. You cannot punish someone for speaking the truth.
All right, Barrister, thank you very much for coming on the program. I mean, there are also millions who would also argue that the president might have done something great for them. And so we must be able to strike this balance. Thank you very much for being on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that's the much we can take on the program today. I think it is time for us to realize and go back to ourselves and ask, how can we move this nation forward without, casting ourselves down and going against ourselves? We must demand fairness, justice, and a society that prioritizes, the empowerment of its people over cancellation. I'm Sunas Nathaniel, and as always, we're going to be leaving you with our top 5 videos of the week. Stay tuned, stay connected, stay engaged. Always ensure that you beam the light on that which matters. See you next time. We begin this week's countdown with a clip in which the Interparliamentary Union assures Senator Natasha Akpoti that they will take actions after they have heard from Senate President Godswill Akpabio.
But because we listened only on her side, as an institution, as IPU, we will be taking the concerns that have been raised, not only taking her side, but also giving a chance to listen to the other side, as it is a custom for IPU. And after having listened to the other side, we will take steps as necessary.
In fourth place, we see former Senator Shehu Sani and a spokesman of the SDP discussing former Governor Nasser El-Rufai's defection to the SDP. Coming third on our countdown is a video from our Sunday Politics where Governor Fubara's invitation to the Amawele-led assembly was the central focus. Still on politics in Rivers State, our second most viewed video this week is a clip of Governor Sim Fubara being locked out of the Rivers State Assembly complex. Our most viewed video this week shows Senator Natasha reporting her suspension to the Interparliamentary Union.
5 days ago, on the 6th of March 2025, I was suspended. As a senator, I was suspended illegally because I submitted a petition of sexual harassment against the President of the Nigerian Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio.
That's it on our countdown today. Join us next week for more.